Thanks everyone for joining us today. This is the third of our chat series. Today we're going to be talking with StealthBits, another partner of ours for quite some time. Really looking forward to this. As for those of you that have been on the chats already, what we're trying to do is kind of get inside the minds of our partners, find out what they've been doing for folks during COVID-19, and most importantly, being able to offer that to you. So we're going to chat with Mel and Adam today, and as always, Dan, Phil, and I are here to talk with you guys. So with that said...
Yeah, no, I found it interesting, having never worked from home in my life, been with StealthBits for 15 years this May, and been in the office pretty much every single day for that time. And now I'm competing with my children for bandwidth here on the home Wi-Fi, which is also, proven to be difficult in terms of getting things done when I can't, access a site or whatnot. But it sounds like a bunch of elephants running around upstairs pretty much at all times. I had to go up before the call today just to remind everybody to be very quiet for the next hour. So we'll see if that actually holds
up.
So, Adam, I think one thing that I know about StealthBits is that you've probably gotten quite a few calls from your customers, as they're trying to move their workforce, to their home offices. Can you maybe tell and expound upon a little bit of, some of the challenges maybe your customers are asking you for and how you guys are able to help them out?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's certainly something that has happened quite a bit over the last 4 to 6 weeks now. I don't even know how long it's been anymore. But, I think initially right out of the gate, there was a big flood of requests around getting visibility into basically these holes that everybody just poked into their networks very quickly, right? You've now opened up VPN access to your network to all sorts of users that you never intended to. Maybe your infrastructure requirements aren't quite such there that they can handle that appropriately. You're still heavily leveraging file share infrastructure, for instance, on-prem that people need access to. And that went from visibility into, all right, who's connecting, not so much from a are they working perspective, but who's connecting to the network, what do we expect to see versus what perhaps is a bit abnormal in terms of its behavior. And then it transferred quickly into this massive push to start taking all this data from on-prem and shoving it into the cloud. And so these cloud migration projects suddenly got a boost, and we're seeing so many customers, looking to get off of on-prem data storage repositories and into cloud storage repositories where they can integrate their MFA systems as well for additional security. That's also been a hot topic, is getting that second factor of authentication in for their users. So those have been the general themes that we've seen for users. And, in terms of what customers have been asking us help for, before we go and dump all this data into the cloud, what am I putting there, right? Can we do a cursory look and see whether or not we need to be putting it there in the first place, or if there's something there that perhaps maybe I don't want to? Or, in the case of the remote access to the network, again, who's authenticating? Where do I see, in particular, weak authentication protocols being leveraged that I can begin to eradicate? It's really been around help me prioritize my risks and give me quick solutions to making sure that I'm not doing things that are actually making the situation worse.
And you said something else there, but actually I didn't think about it until you just said it. And it's not just your basic workers. It's also, the admin staff are probably working at remote too, because a couple customers I want to help with, we couldn't actually go to their data center. So you hit on that with, hey, some of those privileged accounts, all of a sudden they're probably accessing it in ways that they didn't do it before because they're working at home doing their job. So is that something that some of your customers have come up with, or trying to track those privileged accounts as well?
Absolutely. So, obviously everybody, I think, cares about privilege, right? And it's, whether you look at Forrester's statistics, 80% of breaches involve, the use of privileged accounts. It's not even a conversation that needs to be had. Now it's like you just said, these accounts being leveraged in completely different ways than they were before. And that's, particularly scary considering the, all the conditions that you've now exposed your administrators and everybody else to working on their home networks, right? VPN or not, there's a whole plethora of different risks associated with working inside your network boundaries versus outside, and even having the home part of the equation.
And for you or Melissa, did you also see that shift where people kind of move some of those resources even to the cloud environment just to handle from a performance standpoint as well?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think we've absolutely seen that within our customer base.
Okay. Yeah, that's what we've noticed with a lot of the different chats we were having, right? Totally turned it on its head, as Adam had indicated. No one could foresee this amount of folks going to work at home from the admins and then from a performance side and security. And obviously we're seeing people that, might have taken, to your point, Adam, weeks project to do something or move to the cloud, that they literally did it almost overnight, which is crazy.
Yeah, another thing we're seeing too from a customer request perspective, and this is really one of the more unfortunate aspects of this entire, situation that we're dealing with, is they are working in some cases with an even slimmer staff than before. And now it's not like any of that workload went away, right? Now you have even less people to do all the work that needs to be done and do it in, really shortened time frames. They're looking for efficiency gains. What can you automate for us? Whether it be, the discovery of a particular thing that they care about, the reporting that they need, to provide upper management, auditors, et cetera. Those things haven't gone away too. So, a lot of what we did recently with customers is we have a really nice spreadsheet essentially that we've created that allows you to kind of itemize out per categorization of thing that you need to do, what it is that we can automate for you, how long does it take you to actually perform that task, how often do you need to perform it, and let's start to actually tabulate out what are the time and cost savings associated with any one particular thing that you need to do. Now, typically we had used that for the purpose of creating some sort of ROI around a project. And that's still very useful to do. But now it's more about the prioritization of what are we going to work on from an automation standpoint. Listing it out, how many times you do it, how long it takes you to do. All right, we're going to do this one versus the 10 beneath it because, those things take a matter of minutes and this one takes a matter of hours. So that's definitely been a theme and something that we've been promoting with our customers too. Listen, but the purse strings are tight right now. One of the best things that I think all of us vendors can be doing for our customers is making sure that they're getting as much value as they possibly can out of our solutions, and that we're part of the solution, not considered to be part of the problem. So we've been proactive on that front.
Is there a program you launched or anything of that you wanted to hit on at all? And again, if you don't do that, that's fine. I thought it was cool that you actually said that.
No, I'm glad you brought it up. And we do a lot of that anyway. We have a pretty robust customer success program. We have people in the organization that are entirely dedicated to working with our existing customers, making sure that the product installations are healthy, that they're getting what they need out of the software, that they're discovering new use cases for the existing solutions that they own that they could be addressing, and of course, exposing them to other technologies we provide. But I think in particular, to your point right now, one of the things that we've wanted our customers to know is that if you need something from us, we're going to provide it to you, right? We're not going to exploit the situation to, take more for ourselves. We feel that, it'll be reciprocal at the end of the day. And, if they need capabilities that we offer, don't have the funds to be able to purchase those things outright right now, we can either get creative with how it is that we license to them, or we're offering right to use licenses on everything that we provide. So yeah, again, and it's all around, we're all in this together. We want to do the right thing for our customers, and for our prospects too. If, there's other organizations out there that are, legitimately, in need of help and we can be of service, we're game. We've got, everybody on call to help wherever necessary.
Mel, one of the things, Adam, you just talked about, doing a lot for your customers. But one of the things that I really like that you provided us and we've put on our website is you have several educational webinars coming up in May. And I think that's one of the things that we really appreciate because we don't want to force things on our customers. We want them to be educated. And that was one of the things I thought was really cool. So we've put those on our website. Do you have anything to add on that and how that's been, how people have reacted to them?
Yeah, no, they've been great. And we actually have our leaders like Adam who are taking over the webinar series. So Adam's actually doing the first one in May. And then we have our VPs of product for Active Directory, for data governance, and our new PAM product as well. So they're really informational. They're pretty interactive. You can ask questions. And we hope that you guys can join us for the May series.
Yeah, they really, we obviously had the April series as well. And I think it's just really something that a lot of people are still trying to sell so hard, and to educate, I think, is more important to everybody right now because everybody's getting inundated with emails and webinars and all of those things. And what you guys have done allows them to choose what's important to them to see. So just wanted to compliment you guys on that. It really is nice.
Oh, thank you, Tammy. We appreciate that. And just to add one, additional note, when bad things happen, we often try to look for silver linings. And I think one of the silver linings of this scenario for so many of us who are taxed on a daily basis, right? My calendar is full all the time. I'm sure for most people it is too. There's a bit more downtime now than there has been previously, for many people, especially people who commute into an office. That's another, 2-3 hours a day, whatever that you're, technically at work. What a great time to learn about new things, new approaches, and just educate yourself on all those things that you want to be doing or paying attention to all the time. So that was really kind of more the thought process behind the series was, let's create educational opportunities while people have the opportunity to do so. And, again, hopefully, of course, at the end of the day, that works out on the back end for all of us. But, it has been, good for me personally to be able to catch up on emails and, a lot of people, hounding me around new marketing solutions and so on and so forth. So.
Yeah. Excellent.
So Adam, I think one thing that I know about StealthBits is that you've got 3 separate tiers of security. I think that's something that our audience would very much like to hear about. Is there something that you can go over and tell us about at a high level?
Yeah, sure. No, I'm glad you brought that up. So, and we can kind of tie this into the broader conversation around what people are asking for right now. And this has come into play particularly well. So along with, all the things that customers are asking for, one of the things that we've been helping them with too is, again, that prioritization of risk, not just a prioritization of, things that they could be automating, et cetera. Because right now it is all about priorities. And one of the ways we do that is through an assessment program that we offer called the Credential and Data Security Assessment, because our whole contention here at StealthBits is that there are 2 common denominators in every breach scenario, and that's credentials and data, right? Name one breach that didn't involve those 2 things. And now that might be a bit of a generalization, but it's also true. And the solution that we provide is really geared towards 3 layers of your IT infrastructure. The data layer, which of course everybody's trying to get the data, right? It's the monetizable thing. It's where the sensitive information exists. It's why every compliance regulation exists for the most part, right? Is to protect this data. But even if we went out and did the best job possible as a data access governance vendor in telling you, where this data is, who has access to it, how they have access, who's leveraging those access privileges and what they're doing with the data, what information is sensitive, what's not. And even if we take all of that information and we reduce data access down to the lowest levels possible, which is what the goal of a data access governance program is, it's not where the story ends. If you look at what it is that supplies access to all of that data, in the vast majority of organizations, that's Active Directory. For 90% of organizations worldwide, that is the authentication and authorization hub of your IT infrastructure. And when you think about all those files that you have in your organization, especially unstructured data out on your network file shares, in your SharePoint sites, in your cloud storage repositories now, Active Directory is either the thing that directly supplies access to that data or has been federated to those different places and others, databases, applications, et cetera, too. So if we're going to say we're going to do the best job possible of securing your data, well, that also means we need to do the best job possible of securing Active Directory, because attackers are quite literally targeting Active Directory and they want to be domain admin, right? Once they achieve domain admin status, they're able to access anything you want, regardless of the restrictions you put in place. But it doesn't end there either. If you look at how Active Directory is most commonly compromised, it's via, one, an overabundance of privilege access at the system layer, as well as other misconfigurations and vulnerabilities that exist there too. Now, of course, you got endpoint protection solutions in place, and they're contributing massively to this equation. But whether you have a PAM solution or you don't, or what it is you have in place, the standing privileges that exist on these systems are what attackers are after. So common scenario is, somebody clicks on an email they shouldn't, attackers on the machine, they're able to exploit the fact that that user may have privilege access rights to that system, and they can get access to different layers of that system that give them the information they need to move laterally, or they can exploit a variety of other conditions that exist there to do the same thing. But they're going to move laterally via that standing privilege, which eventually allows them to escalate their privileges into Active Directory and thus gain access to all of your data. So what we do in that assessment I was mentioning is we highlight where the big risks exist across those three layers of the infrastructure. And we serve that up in a very detailed as well as a very high-level summarized format. And we also gear the assessment towards both technical and non-technical folks within an organization, or maybe people that don't have their hands quite as in the weeds. This is a free program we offer, but it's all designed to highlight, is there a risk that you need to be aware of? And if so, here is the methodology or the approach that we recommend to actually go ahead and start remediating those risks. And so, to your point regarding your question, we have this three-prong approach, but we're able to, in this time where people are trying to prioritize risk, actually put that to work in helping organizations focus on where attention's needed most, whether that's at the system layer, the directory layer, or at the data layer of your environment.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Melissa. Thanks, Adam. You guys were wonderful. Hopefully our customers all feel the same way and get a lot out of this today. Dan, if you can go ahead and bring up our last two slides of what's coming up. Next week, Thursday, May 7th, that got ugly. Next week on May 7th, we will have Alert Logic is next up on our chat. So hopefully you can all join us then. After Alert Logic, you can see on the slides that we have multiple chats coming up after that. So thank you, everybody.
Let's not
wait a
forget the
minute.
questions,
Like always,
Sandy.
I forget the questions. So let's go to questions now.
Yeah, we've got a couple of questions here. So, for Adam and Mel, one of you, if you don't mind, somebody's asking, if we can, what does it take to really run the CDSA program, and what's the process? So maybe you guys could, one of you could answer that.
Yeah, sure. This is Adam here. It's actually quite a simple process. The technology that we're using to actually go out and perform the assessment is all agentless, so there's nothing that needs to be installed on the systems or areas of your environment that we're actually assessing. Only thing you need to do is install Stealth Audit, which is a very quick exercise. We have the scans all pre-configured to run. We'll auto-discover the things in your environment that we want to scan. You can, of course, choose whether or not you want to scan them. We'll go out and gather the required information, and then the report that you're looking at here is auto-generated. So it's not like we need to, get all this data, go back to the drawing board. It's, for a matter of days and put this all together. We click a button, and this asset that you see here, as well as this asset in a couple other formats, is automatically generated. So from soup to nuts, let's say, ideal scenario, we come in, we've got the access rights required to go and assess the areas of your environment covered here, which are going to be various data repositories, Active Directory, and your Windows desktop server infrastructure. In this particular assessment, we have all the rights we need. We come in and scan this, in a matter of hours, depending upon the scope of the investigation we're performing, and produce the report in a matter of seconds after that. So really not a heavy lift, but keep in mind, it's not just a cursory look at the environment. It is quite in depth, and we are rolling a lot of this information up. But the reports that we're generating behind the scenes have all the detail. So it's quite a comprehensive assessment otherwise.
Okay, thank you. We also, I'll try to combine a couple of them that I see here. One is, do you have some recommendations on some quick hit things that can be done in alignment with the work from home concept?
Yeah, actually, being that you're in this report right now, if you scroll up, I think maybe 2 pages, actually this one right here, the weak passwords. So we've probably all seen this over the past year or so, in particular, these password guessing attacks. Credential stuffing, many of you might be familiar with that term. One of the first things I think you could do to just, from a foundation level security perspective, if we just make it so easy for attackers to guess passwords because they're either known from a previous breach that has occurred, or they're just really, really, simple, they can compromise accounts incredibly quickly. Now that you're out on your home network and you're operating in a bit of a different, security scenario, doing something as simple as setting a strong password could be the difference between a successful compromise or a failed compromise. So there's that. Going out and identifying proactively, where sensitive data exists within your organization and monitoring the activity to it. Now, even if you just stop there, I think what you have is a situation where you have a short list of where sensitive data could exist outside of the boundaries that you would otherwise had put in place. So for instance, people are getting creative right now with sharing information. At least if you knew if Adam accessed a document that contains sensitive data, you could extrapolate or, at least have a short list of the fact that, that sensitive document may actually be on Adam's laptop as well, or his desktop, a place where I don't want to find that information. So, even just getting a little bit of visibility from a audit trail perspective into who's accessing data, whether it's sensitive or not at this particular juncture, almost isn't as important. If you have an activity trail, that's going to give you at least a place to start in terms of tracking down where your sensitive information may have gone. Another thing, and we mentioned just before, and I think actually you scroll down a little bit further here, you're setting me up perfectly for this question, so thank you. If you look at the next page here, it's all about local admin rights. This is a powerful level of access to a system. If you have local admin rights, you can do just about anything you want on a machine. Go out to especially your server infrastructure, especially the systems that are particularly important to you, and look at how many people have administrative access rights here. Spend a little time doing an investigation on who needs these rights, especially right now. If you can remove any of them, that is a positive step in the right direction. So, I think I give you an example at each of these layers. So at the system level, reduce the access rights to your critical systems from a local admin perspective.
At the directory level, reset passwords to be stronger, and that's something we can help with as well in terms of going out and identifying which accounts would match that criteria. And then number 3, get an audit trail of who's accessing your files, at least in shared locations that you have the ability to do that in easily. Maybe you're feeding this stuff to your SIM already, and just have that available should you need to track down who accessed a particular file and where that file might be as a result. So hopefully those are 3 pragmatic steps that everybody can take to mitigate some risk in this remote workforce scenario we're living in.
Adam, thank you very much for answering those questions. I don't see any more that are out there right now. So we're going to wrap this up, folks. The CDSA report that we just went over, that's something that Champion has done for a lot of our customers. We have a shuttle that we actually can plug in and help folks out. But this was great. Again, Adam and Mel, thanks for joining us. And we will catch you next week for the next chat. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.